when you start Xcode and you want to create a new project, you see all these templates. And it's actually very convenient to create your own template if you find yourself every time you create a new project to do the same kind of steps and settings, or removing some of the default elements. And in this case, I already added here a template of my own. So this is for a coordinator pattern. In this tutorial, I will show you how Apple set up their own templates and how you can use them to create your own and customize them from there on. I have here, there's this little disclaimer. I didn't figure out everything. It's quite difficult to find out because Apple didn't publish a lot of information about this. And because of the changes over the last, well, there's always changes to Xcode, so obviously there's also changes to the examples I found. So please take this with a grain of salt, and that maybe things are not as you expect them. And I'm also not going to make a perfect example. I rather get halfway there because it's a lot of things you can change and things that can go wrong. But I will definitely show you a working example. And I'm going to use the example I'm going to use a project that I recently set up for another video, which is creating a storyboard app and then removing the storyboard. You can programmatically start whichever view controller with the SwiftUI view you want in the SceneDelegate. So I'm going to use this because this was one template that I could actually use previously until Xcode 12. And I would really like to have that back. So you will see a very short example for a template. Okay, now let's have a look at what Apple actually does. If you open Finder and the new Finder window, then go to Folder. This is the last one I had, and I will leave the full path in the description box, so you can also go there. Need to go expand this a little bit. So this is inside of the developer platforms, Xcode templates, project templates. You can also create file templates. So when you add a new file, a SwiftUI file, then you can also, for example, create your own files. But in this case, it's the project templates, and I have here for iOS, and you see here all this list of templates. And now it's a question of what all of these. And the first one I want to show you is the one that is a single view app, so iOS app. Let's have a look at that template. And this is under project templates, iOS application app. And then here, in this folders are all the files that are necessary. And if I open the template info plist, each of these XC template folders contains one of this template info plist. This is the project settings. So the first one is a kind. This means it's actually a project that we running project. Then the second one is the identifier. This needs to be unique, and in this case they call it a single view application. With these identifiers, usually they have some kind of com dot notation. So we would need to create our own for these ones too. The name that you see in Xcode is actually coming here from this app. For example, you have some of them are not the final ones. A document app, that would be another one. This would be this template in Xcode. But here you see in this document app folder, there's a lot more documents. This is all the documents that are included in your project when you use this template. For this single view app, you only see a main storyboard as additional file. This is because with this template, you can actually create also a UI kit or a storyboard application, and then they would use this main storyboard. So you don't need to, you can just include more of these files. You don't need to use all of them. You can also include options. So here in the plist, in the template info plist, there's this options array. And here is a user interface identifier, name interface, type of interface with these two values. One is SwiftUI and storyboard, and these are the ones, I have to jump a lot. If you choose the iOS app, these are these options here, SwiftUI or storyboard. You can add more options or remove some of them. Also, there's usually an option for Swift or Objective-C. But if you use SwiftUI, you don't have the option for Objective-C. So you can add more complication. You can add more if statements of what you want to do with this. But in our case, I just want to create a template that is very specific. So we have the identifier. Then here's a concrete key, which means if this is set and true, this is actually an app, or this is a template that you can use to create a whole new app. And if you look at this folder, there are actually a lot of templates in there, and some of them, they're actually built on top of each other. So these templates can inherit from other templates, and you can check where this template takes its ancestors, where it inherits from. One of them is this AppDelete unit core data Cocoa Touch application, and the other one is the scene lifecycle application. There's also two, because one of them is using the SwiftUI. One of these ancestors is used for the SwiftUI app, and the other one for the storyboard app. So I went through some of these, no, not all of them, but some of these folders to check how they connect to each other, just to find out, because I needed to know which of these projects I actually want to start with and modify. So the idea is that I want to use one of these templates as my own custom templates, but I need to know which one is the best to start off, so I don't need to change everything or too much. I want to have the one template that is the closest to what I actually want to accomplish. So the template we were looking at is this AppDelete template, which has these two ancestors. These are the identifiers, and these are the template names. So this is the core data Cocoa Touch app, and the other one is the UI scene lifecycle Xcode template. It's the one that is used for the storyboard app, and it's inheriting further from this Cocoa Touch app base class. If I look now at the SwiftUI app, you can see here what is SwiftUI path. It's the core. I don't really want core data. This template adds the core data stacks on top of it, and then it inherits again from the iOS SwiftUI app Xcode template, and in there it's actually also adding the content view. So you can just have a look. This is the iOS SwiftUI app, and you see here it adds a content view with the content view file that you're probably very familiar with, and also the different file that is used if you choose to create an app with a core data stack. This template that adds it, and then there's another, which is this core data Cocoa Touch app, and here you see it's adding actually this data model file, so you can have a look at all these different templates. So now the question is, so I wanted to have a SwiftUI app. So the template I want to create is with a AppDelegate and a SceneDelegate, and not the SwiftUI lifecycle method. And I wanted to update this a little bit. So I thought I am probably best off by choosing this template. I did highlight the two templates that are the same for these storyboard and SwiftUI choices. And the one that is configuring on top is here, this UI scene lifecycle. So I'm just going to use this to modify. I want to use this template. This is the starting point for my own custom template. But the next question is where I should actually write this or store this. It is not a good idea to use this folder because it's managed by Xcode, and when you update next time your Xcode version, it's overriding this location. So you would lose your templates. The location, so again, you have to go to folder and look for another location. So I will, this is not in here, this is under my own user library developer. And in this Xcode folder, if you start this, you will not have this template folder. So you have to create it, just create a new folder with templates. This is the one template that you already saw when I showed you how to create a project with all you see here the files that I used. So now I'm going to use this. I'm copying this and I'm pasting it in here. Now this isn't, I haven't changed the name. So I'm giving it here my SwiftUI app name because I know this is the template for SwiftUI for very plain project setup. Now we have to change this template info plist file, because when you open this, it's not at the very top level. When I explained you that templates adopt from other templates, inherit from other templates, and this is not one of these top level templates. If I again use so here you see the template for the single view application one on the left side, and the one that I just copied. So the first thing is, that is very important, is that actually my identifier needs to be unique. So this is here anyway, this old identifier. So you can change it to something else. Single view app, and it's actually good if you use your name instead of Apple. So I just have to change it, otherwise one of these templates disappears. So that's not good. Then we have the kind, this is still the same, it's a project template, the identifier. The ancestor, I'm going to use the same ancestor. Then I need to add this concrete type, otherwise it doesn't show up as my Xcode template. So I have to add here a new one and type concrete. So it's not going to give me the correct auto-completion, because then it's a bool, and I said this is yes. The description, we can also add a description. This is a template with SwiftUI. Then there's the sort order. This just means how they are sorted when you open the project. So you will see this here in this list, the order where these templates appear. Should they be sorted alphabetically? This is if you put it to sort order 1. This is a number. Then there is the name of initial file for editor. This means that when you create this file, when you create this project, which of the, after you're creating, you see it in the Xcode, and there's one file that is open directly, and this is usually the content view, so you can also set it to something else. So maybe I'm going to use the SceneDelegate just as a proof for you to see that it's actually working. But obviously you just start with the most obvious file. Maybe for the coordinator pattern is the main coordinator file or a view controller. So comparing further, I have in both cases ancestors, so other templates that I inherit from. Then we have options. This is the one that you see going through, where you can click on, for example, the SwiftUI or storyboard options. Or in our case, there's an option for the language of choice. Some of the definitions, this is where I can set up things. And then my single view app standard template has also an image, so I'm going to add this here too. So I just copy and pasted it over. So we have to check what we further have to set up. And in order to see this, you can go to the template and click on open with other, and then choose something like the text editor. So there is so this includes a lot more, and it's actually a little bit easier to read. So here are some of the stuff I just added, like the description. So this is the key description and the value, or the string value, which is in this case, this is a template with SwiftUI. Then my sort order, my name initializer. Then this ancestors, this is the definition. So this is some of the stuff that is in the info plist, for example, the scene manifest things. Some of the stuff is a general setup, like here we're actually implementing some of this application scene functions. Like here, implement method scene will connect to session. And here they define this default print statements that we usually get. Then the options entry. This is because of these options I gave. So for example, here there's identifier for language choices. We have one set of things that are only done in case we are in this language choice for Objective-C. And then here there's one for the options of Swift. But I actually don't want to have all these options. So I'm just going to open this in plist again. So here under language choices, I had 2, Objective-C and Swift, and I'm going to delete the Objective-C one, just to make it a little bit shorter. And here under Swift, you see the required options. Then there's nodes. This is a set of commands that will be executed. or edit. For example, here a SceneDelegate comments. Actually, it's more visible in the text editor. These are the notes, or we can add here files to the project. And here's some definitions. For example, it will add in the SceneDelegate a window property. Or here, this is the things that we have to edit in the SceneDelegate if you want to switch to a storyboard. If you want to not use a storyboard, this is what you would need to replace. So I save this and create a new project. Now we are at the stage where you can actually test this. And I had to close Xcode and restart my computer, and then close Xcode a couple of times until it finally added all files correctly. Not really sure what the problem is, just so you know if it doesn't look correctly. So now if I here use my SwiftUI app, test app, next, and then I just create this. I should have a AppDelegate file and a SceneDelegate file, assets, launch screen, and this info plist. I do not have in here the option for a storyboard, and also in my target test app main interface I don't have the reference to the storyboard. Also, I didn't add it here to my project, so we at least didn't add things that we didn't want. But I here have nothing in my SceneDelegate set up to actually use a view. And for this template, I probably want to just ship some default in. So I'm going to create this content view now in here, so I can drop it in the configuration file or in the template folder. So this is a new file. Yes, this is the SwiftUI view. Just naming this content view. So this is the one I want to use. Now I'm just going in here, show in Finder. I can create and can close this project. So I have now this one content view, and I can add it to my templates. So here in my SwiftUI templates, I'm going to copy this file and add it in here. The header of this is now set to this creation. I don't really want to have this. I want to have the default one they always use, where, as you saw here, there was my name and the date. So let's have a look. And the templates. So what did I say? Core data, iOS. Here is this content view. And there's this file header. So you can just copy the same style. Save. So now I have this one content view in my templates file, and I can, in order to actually add it to my project, when I create a new project, I need to tell the system to take this file from my templates file and copy it into the new project, and also what to name it and where to add it. In order to do this, I have to go back to this editor style, to the text editor style, because it's just easier to find the entries there. So we have, okay, maybe I have to scroll from the top. I want to go for, I only have a few cases. I am here in the language choices for Swift. These are all the definitions of this SceneDelegate and AppDelegate stuff. And this is added under notes, which has an array. So notes means how many notes, files you have. Right now you see here it always starts with AppDelegate or SceneDelegate. That's why I only have these two files. So I can add another one. So I just copy this line. And instead of the SceneDelegate implementation, I now add my content view.swift file. This is not telling you to use this file. So you can add more here. And the other one is the location. So under definition, here I can add something more. So here's, for example, this scene connect to session, and here the properties for Windows scene. I can now add the description for this. So this starts with key. So I'm not really good in this, whatever this is written in. So this is the content view dot Swift, then this triangle braces with a backslash for before the key, so this means start and this is end. Now I wanted to declare a dictionary so dictionary means key value pair, to say what it is and what's supposed to do, what should happen with it. So I need a start dictionary and an end dictionary, and then I'm adding the end with /dic dictionary, and then in this I have to define the key. This is path /key. The value for this is a string type. This is my content, view.swift. So it's the name that will be generated. This is end /.string. And then I can also say in which order. For example, if you have, I only add one now, but if you have multiple, you can decide which order this is added. So this is a sort order. The key is a sort order. End key. And the value in which this is ordered is, so if you add the multiple of them, it's an integer. /.integer, and then here I can say the number. So if I put 99, or in this case it's not really helpful, but if you add multiple of them, so you would copy this one after the other, and then it would just take the order, and that is defined here. Okay, in order to make sure I didn't have a spelling mistake and wrong formatting, I just save this and close. If you just open, and yes, I did here a mistake. Maybe just copy paste everything. Okay, it's opening it fine now. So I can try to create a new project and with this template. And now you can see here my content view, which is an empty. And I need to spell it correctly, otherwise it doesn't. Here it's looking for this content file and didn't find it. Let's make sure that all of the names are correctly. Okay, now I can save this. Make sure it's still opening properly as a plist. And now I can create a new project with this updated file. So now you see I have here this content view added to my project, and if I open this, it holds the information that I wanted, and also it's added here the description. So this is the same as the standard one. So you see, if you have the same, should see something differently. You can add more files if you want to. Just add them at these two positions, and make sure that you have everything. Maybe just copy paste my example, just to spare your spelling mistakes. But the next thing I need to do is here in my SceneDelegate, I need to change this in order to start my application. So all this code is generated by our template, and I want to replace this. So for example, just going to copy the code that I had for my other tutorial. So I'm just going to copy here what this should be in the end. Adding the window scene, then creating a UI hosting control with this content view and setting it here to this window. Just going to, and I need to import SwiftUI. Okay, if you see the iPhone, and there should be a hello world text appearing. Yes, okay, now with this changes, I'm finally finished with the template. So I need to add here this import and this part, or remove parts. Or this is also the chance for you if you are always deleting all of these. Maybe you just do it together now. So maybe we have a look at where this import UI kit is actually generated. So I go to my template, open with, other, text editor. There's probably something easier to do this. Command F. So now I'm going to search for the import keyword. So we have here in the SceneDelegate, we import Coco. So I use now import SwiftUI. In order to also add the code for the AppDelegate, I just look at the template from the single view application. So this was this app XC template, template info, open with the text editor. Okay, if I now go under the options, For Swift, this is the storyboard interface. Here under required options for user interface SwiftUI, you saw they're also having under the nodes array this import SwiftUI, so this is the step I already did. And then under definition, they have here the implement session will connect to, and they add here create a SwiftUI view private content. So I think I would like to have all of this. And the dictionary, so this part which I have to now add to the definition. So the nodes was locations of files, and the definition is what actually should be added. So here is already this lifecycle stuff for the AppDelegate, and here is this one property for the window scene. This is the window property that is declared. And this is the line that adds this window scene. So this is definitely that I don't want to have. Just going to add the code that I just took. So starting with the window scene, will connect. Just removing the old file. There's going to be some empty lines otherwise. And then, yeah, it's just importing. And then setting up here, so you see here it's creating. It here creates this content view. And then it always adds here these two lines. I'm going to remove the part in the middle between, so I create my content view and then I need to continue. Oops. So here create a window. I don't want to overwrite this twice. So I can remove this, save, and now it should add all of this code together with importing SwiftUI. So I can create another project, yet another project. So now if we go on the SceneDelegate, I have here import SwiftUI. The window is still there, and now I have here this content view. So this is the line that I just added. Unfortunately, I have still more. So this part does not come from this template, I think. Just going to check. Oh no, it is. So I'm just looking for this. So you can just remove this keys if you don't want to have this text. So this is all this part. So I just have to remove also the key. This is the place where this will be added. Save. Let's see if I destroyed. So try again. So in the SceneDelegate, I successfully import now SwiftUI 2, and I replace the part for the SceneDelegate. So this is the advantage of the template that we choose, because if I inherit from a template that already adds it, it's kind of difficult to get rid of this access code. So you can go ahead and delete more of these print statements if you're anyway always deleting this part. That might be convenient. So the last test should be to run this to see if, yeah, and I have here my hello world. It's probably not the most fun thing to create these templates because yeah, I have either problems with Xcode or with my plist files. But just have a look, if you want to do something, just have a look in one of the other templates, how they are different and where to add this. So what you can do from here is add more files. You can remove some of these functions or add more. So you can add more default files, more views, maybe model files. You can add more of this configuration to other files. For example, if you want to have a setup for always a Firebase app, maybe you want to create a Firebase template for another one. You always have to make sure that you also add Firebase to the project. So you can take advantage of setting this up. I still have here some options there for core data. Not really sure if I get rid of this or not. Probably not for now. I have tested the limit of Xcode too much today, I think. I should end this with a good working project. If you don't set this up correctly with my SwiftUI app, and for example, I have here still the option for Objective-C, then I have this not really doing much project. So maybe I should also get rid of these other options. But since I already said this is SwiftUI, maybe I just need to figure out how to remove more options. But this is more detailed and I don't really want to spend too much time if it's just for me. Anyway, if you want to see another example, if you want to see the full files, or you want to just start with a working template, one of mine, you can have a look at the template that I created in this video. So with this content view and this template. And I also add the one for the coordinator pattern. So you see I have here more files and also a different setup for the in plist, because I need to add all of these files and I have to create the different SceneDelegate. I very much like this templates. I really like to use the templates and make it work. It's just a little time consuming. So please let me know in the comments if you actually created one of these templates and what for. I just want to know what use cases there are. You can also share the whole template if you want to. Maybe you found more tricks than I did, especially how to create folder properly without having lots of errors. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. This would really mean a lot to me. I hope these templates are going to save you a lot of time. So maybe you also want to share this with other people. Until next time, happy coding.